Hello, I'm Shelley, and I have a passion for all things quilting. And today I want to talk to you about Y seams. Now, if your eye is starting to twitch, bear with me here. Now, while Elizabeth Zott says that cooking is chemistry, I have good news for you. Quilting is muscle memory, so there is that. Plus, I'm going to give you some tips that will make you successful in Y seam construction so that you will have a great technique to put into your quilting toolbox. Okay, what will help you out here tremendously? Number one, spray starch. We are going to spray starch our fabrics because especially the diamonds, it's all bias. So we need to give the fabric just a little bit of something so that bias doesn't stretch. Next thing you need, pins. We're gonna pin. Pinning is crucial. And for all you out there who aren't pinners, try it. When you're successful with this, you'll maybe not be so anti-pin. And lastly, the last thing you need is a marking tool. A marking tool that you can see on your fabric. LeMoyne Stars are beautiful. They're not difficult, but they do have steps. So I'm gonna walk you through those. And I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and I hope very soon you will be making beautiful LeMoyne Star blocks for yourself. For the diamond, that is the body of our star, we are making an 8-inch star block here. The strips for the diamond, you need to cut 2 1/8 inches wide, and I will have your cutting instructions in the notes. So I've got this cut, I've got my ruler. I'm going to come over here, and there's that 45-degree mark, or the 45-degree line. I'm going to put that here. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. Line it up on the bottom, right there. Line that up. Cut the end off. Now I've got 45-degree here. I'm going to go line this up on the 2 1/8 inch mark. And yes, I did go spray starch all of my fabrics before I started cutting. So just please do. You'll save yourself a lot of frustration if you spray starch your blocks. Okay. Is that 2? Oh, that's not 2 1/8. This is 2 1/8. Oh, I thought that looked funny. Okay. 2 1/8. Okay, you need to cut 4 squares at 2 7/8 inch each. Also, you need to cut 1 square at 4 1/2 inches, and then I want you to cut it into 4 quarter square triangles. So this is the background. And then here are the diamonds. I'm going to use a variety of fabrics for my diamonds. I want this to be a little scrappier. So these are all that I have cut here. There, yes, I think this, I like this. Okay. So let's get started. Okay, the way we're going to sew this unit together, so we're going to sew this seam here, first, this seam here second, the star body together third, and then we'll attach this. Before we do that, we are going to mark a 1/4 inch on the corner of here and here. It's our stop and start spots, so we know. This is a batik, is what I'm using today, but if we were using regular quilter's cotton, you would want to make this mark on the back of your fabric. I'm just going to eyeball this. If you think you need to measure, by all means, measure. Okay. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to line up this corner here and sew down to this dot and stop. I am going to take a back stitch. Okay, we want to finger press very gently towards the star body always. Now we're going to come and do the same thing here. I'm going to line this up on these corners here. This time I'm going to start just a hair past that dot. I'm just going to, on the edge of that dot right there is where I'm going to put my needle down. Take a stitch, take a back stitch, and sew towards the end. Okay. Gently finger press that. Okay, now we're going to line up the star bodies and we'll sew, oops, that long thread, where is it? Trim that off. Ooh, okay. We're going to line these up. Also, stick your finger in here, under here, and make sure this background is out of the way. Then I'm going to start right here and sew all the way down. Okay. At this point, we are going to finger press this seam where the stars meet open. And everything gets pressed. Easy. At this point, I'm trimming the bunny ears. Oh, that one shifted on me. Okay. Now we're going to take this block, we're going to line it up right here, and I'm going to sew down and stop right there. That is your unit, and we need 4 of these units. So, all right, we have our first unit, and we're going to make 4 of these. And after we've got 4 of these, I'm going to show you how we put this together. Okay, I have 4 of these units made. I have, at this point, only finger pressed, and I've trimmed off my bunny ears. So let's put these units together. So to put these units together, first thing I'm going to do is we're going to line this up right here, and I'm going to sew. And we're going to line that up there. I'm going to sew from this dot out. Then we're going to come back and we'll sew the star body together. If you are sewing a LeMoyne Star that is bigger than 8 inches, you definitely, at this point, are going to want to put a pin in. I'm going to, for the purposes of this demonstration, put a pin in. If this was a 4-inch block, I would not, but this 8 inches. So we've lined up those together. Just going to put a pin in right here, just for grins. Okay. Sew that to the background. I'm a thread trimmer, so I have to get these threads out of my way or it'll make me nuts. Okay. Now we're going to line these 2 up You can sew whichever way is easier for you. And if you feel like you need to put a pin in, you can. At this point, we're going to sew these together. You can start on either side. I do want to make sure that this is how you know this is lined up. When you feel those two seams exactly meeting up, you can feel it on this. Let me sew this line. We'll open this up. Let's look at it. What I did not mention is you do need to make sure that background is out of the way. This part is out of the way when you sew that. So if you sew on this side, just stick your finger in there and make sure that background is out, and then sew that. Now I'm going to sew these open, or excuse me, I'm going to press these open. Okay, there we go. All right, let's do the same thing. So we've got this one done. Let's do the same thing here. Turn this over. I want this. I want it pinned. That's why you want it finger pressed towards the star. Line up right here on the outside edge. Stick our pin in, just for grins. And let's sew that seam. All right. We've sewn that to that. Let's give it a little slot press right here. Now let's line these up. And I'm going to sew. This last time I started here and sewed out and sewn out. This time I'm going to start here and sew in, just because you could do it either way. I want you to try both ways so that you can find the way that you prefer. Because this on this part doesn't really matter. It's just what you prefer. So stick your finger in here. Make sure this background, that star background, is pulled out of the way. Okay. I'm going to finger press this star open, because this time when we put this together, we are going to pin. Okay, we've got the two halves. So this is how we sew this. We're going to sew, turn this over. We're going to line this up right there. We're going to sew from here, that dot, out. Again, if you feel like you need a pin, let's pin. Once you've made a few of these, you may not feel like you need a pin, but I would suggest at the beginning, when you start to make these, it's one pin. For all you non-pinners out there, it's just one pin. Okay, I've sewn that. We're going to do the exact same thing over here. And you should put a pin in now at this point, because it's kind of awkward the way this is. This block is awkward till we get that middle seam where the stars all sewn together. So put a pin right here. Let's go exactly the same thing. Start here, do a little back stitch, sew to the end. This is the point. So now the last seam we're going to sew, so we're going to sew this star body, the two halves of the star body together. You do want a pin. You want everything to meet up. And the way we're going to pin this is, go right here in this seam, right here. Pull this through. Yep, that's where everything meets up. You see where all those points meet up? Straight, oops, yeah. Straight through there. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to pin on either side of that pin, because that way nothing's going to move and our star points are all going to line up. I'm not so concerned, but do remember when you sew, because we're going to stop right here and right here, make sure you come in here and make sure that star background is out of the way. And let's sew this seam and let's open this star up and see what it looks like. Another thing you can do, if you're worried about this, is you can set your machine stitch to a long basting stitch, the longest stitch you've got, and you can sew from here to here and open it up and see if your points match up. So let's open this up and see what happens. Okay, I just want to do this. Okay. Yeah, they're looking good. I cut that off just, oh, right here. I just need, I'm going to press that and that's going to solve that. But yeah, looking good. Let me go press this block. Okay, my points are looking good. So at this point of making this video, I now have 3 of these star blocks. And so what I think I'm going to do with these, so I'm going to sew these together in a row. I'm going to put a 4-inch border here and a 4-inch border there. And then I'm going to go make 4 star blocks for this end, right? 2 stars for this, and I'm going to make myself a small table runner. If you would like to see me demonstrate how I would machine quilt that, please leave me a comment and let me know, and I will make that video and show you my process for machine quilting this little table runner. Happy sewing. I hope you enjoy making these blocks. They're not complex, but you do need to pin and you need to spray starch. Happy sewing.